Well, hello again, everyone. Welcome to the Sea Otter exhibit. Now, for those of you just joining us, again, my name is Jamie Marie, and I'm a naturalist here at the Monterey Bay Aquarium. Now, in just a couple more moments, our animal care staff will be walking onto this exhibit to help feed our southern sea otters for today. Now, folks, feel free, come on up and stick around for this awesome feeding opportunity. And it looks like our animal care staff are on their way. Now, folks, we do have 3 sea otters on exhibit today. Now, you'll see as they head on over towards that rockwork, we'll be able to pick the 3 of them out. Now, starting all the way over on the left-hand side, we have Abby with the blonde snout. And next to her in the center, we have our youngest, smallest, and brownest sea otter, Selka, my bad. And next to her on the right-hand side with the blonde head and neck, you've got our oldest otter, Rosa. Now, the 3 of them are doing a feeding and training session, so we're asking them to do a variety of different behaviors that assist with their animal care here at the aquarium. Now, we do this using a method called positive reinforcement. So each time we ask an otter to do a behavior and they choose to do so, they're rewarded with some tasty treats. And if they choose not to, that's okay. Our trainers can re-engage the otters throughout the training session. However, ultimately, it is always up to the otters whether or not they'd like to participate in their training for the day. Now, these training sessions help build up strong bonds and trusting relationships between otter and trainer. However, they also allow us to help introduce our otters to some of the tools we may use in their care, making them comfortable with all the tools and procedures that may happen in their care as well. Now, one of those tools is visible here on the deck. You'll see one of our trainers is holding that net. Now, this is something we may need to use to help transport our otters, so we want to make sure that they're comfortable with all the tools that we use for that process. So here, Selka is going to be practicing with that tool. She'll be getting comfortable heading in and out of that net. Now, you'll see here our trainer is very carefully helping her practice entering and exiting that tool and making her comfortable with that care. Now, since Selka is doing this behavior, she's then going to be rewarded with those treats you see on exhibit. You'll see that positive reinforcement right there. And Selka is calm while doing this process as well. Now, folks, we've got Rosa heading up on the deck as well. She's going to be practicing with some other tools we might use in their care as well. Now, specifically, you will see our trainer start to use a target. She's pulling it here. That blue and white ball on the end of a stick allows Rosa to focus on one specific object, but also allows her to practice with some other tools as well. That eyedropper that our trainer is holding in her hand. Now, she doesn't receive medication at this time. However, we want her to be comfortable with the way that this could be administered in case she needed some in the future. Making her comfortable with those tools is always the goal for our animal care staff here on exhibit. Now, folks, those positive reinforcements we see, the tasty treats on the menu for today, we've got squid, shrimp, and shelled clam's tongue. A lot of soft, squishy food for our sea otters. Now, out in the wild, otters could eat a variety of different marine invertebrates. And these are animals that live without backbones. Now, many of those invertebrates come trapped in a really hard, crunchy shell, like crabs or sea urchins. So otters in the wild will actually use tools to help crack those shells open. Some otters have even been seen to carry around a favorite rock or hard object that helps them crack into their favorite meal. However, here on exhibit, we've made the mistake of giving our otters those crunchy foods in the past, and they've shown us the best way to crack them open is by hitting them really hard against the exhibit windows. So to keep those windows scratch-free, instead we stick to the soft, squishy food on exhibit and save the crunchy stuff for behind the scenes. But that doesn't mean that our otters aren't practicing those natural tool-using behaviors. You probably see quite a few different toys or enrichments around the exhibit, especially if you're there on the first floor. Now, these different toys and enrichments allow our otters to practice these natural behaviors without damaging their exhibit. During the day, those toys are stuffed with the same tasty treats that our otters are eating now. However, inside this enrichment, they serve as a puzzle, allowing our otters to use their minds and bodies and exhibit to help get the food out of the toy and into their mouth. Now, this is very similar to those of you with pets at home, maybe a dog that likes peanut butter inside of a Kong toy. That same type of enrichment you have for your pets is what we do for those otters here at the aquarium as well. Now, you might see the otters are getting quite a bit of food during this training session, and this is only one of many sessions they will have throughout the day. You see, these otters need to eat about 20% of their body weight every single day just to stay warm in those freezing cold ocean waters. However, here, our otters are also keeping themselves warm with that thick fur coat as well. You see, the otters here in Monterey can get as cold as 55 degrees. Looks like Selka's showing off some of those behaviors here. And you've just seen Selka stand up on her hind legs and push her front two legs out to the side for her trainer to see. Now, while this may be a rather cute behavior, it actually has a very important purpose. You see, otters in the wild, when they're carrying around their tools, they store them in what we like to call here at the aquarium their armpit pockets. You see, these otters have extra flaps of skin underneath their front arms that work as perfect storage places. However, here our trainers do need to frequently check those storage places to make sure there isn't any extra food or toys being hidden as well. So Selka standing up on her legs is allowing her trainer to fully evaluate her body here on exhibit. Now, back to that thick fur that our otters have, folks. You might notice it's pretty dense. In fact, these otters have the thickest fur in the entire animal kingdom. They have over 1 million hairs per square inch of their bodies. Now, your average house cat at home has about 1 million hairs on its entire body. So squeeze all of that fur into a space the size of a postage stamp, and that's what our sea otters are working with. But it also means they have to spend quite a bit of time every day grooming as well. Sometimes upwards of 5 hours a day are spent on that hair care routine. Now, all of the otters you see on exhibit today are deemed non-releasable by the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. And that just means that these otters will stay here at the aquarium for continued human care. Now, here on exhibit, they serve as ambassadors for their species. But behind the scenes, they have an even more important job. All of these otters have served as foster or surrogate moms for the Sea Otter Surrogacy Program here on the aquarium. Now, this one-of-a-kind program allows our exhibit otters to be paired with pups that have been rescued from the wild. Now, once the otter and pup are paired, they'll be taken behind the scenes and no human contact is given, meaning that this exhibit otter will be raising that pup all on their own, teaching them the skills they need to survive by themselves. They'll learn how to dive and hunt for food, how to crack open their prey, and even how to groom all of that thick fur. Now, once that pup has mastered the skills of being an otter, they'll head back out to the Monterey Bay to help support our local otter population. And this is a tremendous program, folks. You see, if you head out on our back decks today, you're actually really likely to see some sea otters lounging in the kelp forest behind the aquarium. But this was not always the case. In the 1800s, otters were hunted during the fur trade to near extinction. In fact, at one point, there were only 50 sea otters left. That's right, 50, 5-0. Now, luckily, this last raft of otters was discovered off the coast of Big Sur by some otter advocates who took action. They knew they could very well be looking at the last raft of otters in existence, and they were determined to protect them. Now, folks, these otters have been legally protected here in California since then, and that partnered with this surrogacy program here at the aquarium has helped that wild otter population to rise to nearly 3,000 individuals today. So we can thank our otters on exhibit here, wishing them a happy Mother's Day for all of that hard work they've done to support the otter species. Now, folks, you'll see here these otters are also doing a lot of movement throughout this training session as well, swimming back and forth from the window. This allows our trainers to really evaluate how they move and swim here on exhibit. You see, each time you see a person inside an exhibit here at the aquarium, not only the otters, but any other exhibit you may encounter, they are doing quick medical checkups and evaluations of all the animals here on exhibit. Now you'll see the otters have just received the last bits of their meal to finish up at their leisure. Feel free to stick around and watch how they finish up their snacks and even start some of those grooming behaviors as well. Now, folks, again, my name is Jamie Marie. If you have any questions at all, please come on up to the second floor mezzanine. I'd be more than happy to chat. But if you're ready to move on and keep exploring, thank you all for joining me here at the Otter exhibit, and have a wonderful rest of your day at the Monterey Bay Aquarium.